Welcome back. It is always a good day when I wake up and I give thanks. And I know that today is a day that I am privileged to step out in my small studio in San Diego and record a show for the next room. Um, I went on a little bit of a break. Going to call it a sabbatical. I wasn't sure that I was even going to come back and do a show um, because I wasn't sure that I was making a difference. And to me, it's like I don't want to be sitting in the studio talking to myself. And I just kind of detached from the ego portion of what this is all about and really had to do a deep dive. So I kind of stopped doing shows. I was super present. Our daughter got married in October. And so I was just really, really wrapped up with life. And in that time too, that I was very involved with being a mom and a wife and just kind of being present, um, I was also working on something else that's very, very creative. I was writing a book with my best friend. And so it was taking up a lot of my time, but it was such a time that I was honoring and I was loving what I was doing. So I sort of just put the podcast on the back burner. But I had told my friend Brent a long time ago, I said, if the show helps one person, then I've reached my goal. So I get an email yesterday from Karen, and she said, "Are you well? You haven't recorded a show since September." And I was like, wow. I'm going to do a show, and I know exactly the first show I'm going to do coming back from this little break that I took. And it is all about words and how they matter and how important our language is. And I'm going to introduce you to my best friend today. Her name is Barbara Jansen Urbanus. She and I got together quite a while ago because she had Mm, kind of like her life coach gave her an assignment, and she's going to tell you exactly what that was. But what happened from that moment was an opportunity for the two of us to get together and to do a deep dive with words. And what happened was we created something quite beautiful. We created this deep dive 365 words. Barbara, welcome to the next room.
Thank you, Jane. It's an honor
Oh,
to be here.
it's so good to see you. I mean, we've been working together every single day for, I don't know, 2 years now. Has it been 2 years?
Yeah, it's been
Okay.
2 years.
So tell the audience exactly what happened when your life coach, Lava, gave you an assignment and you came down to San Diego for a little nurturing and a little visit with me. Let's start there because then people will really get the idea and the understanding behind Deep Dive 365 words.
Okay, so first of all, the reason I had a life coach is in January of 2022, I got some CT results that appeared to be stage 4 breast cancer. And that was a quite a blow. And and I thought pretty quickly, I realized I need a life coach. Oh, I have a great friend who's a life coach, Lava. We love Lava. And so I called her up and I said, "Will you be my life coach?" And she said, "Sure." And she, first of all, coached me on not owning my cancer, this cancer, not my cancer. Sorry. Um, that it was not my cancer, it was a journey I was on. So then it wouldn't take a hold of me and pull me down and take over my life. So then we started talking about um, different words and how I felt about them. I also quit my job that day of the CT scan. And so we started talking about words. And she said, I want to give you an assignment. I want you to take some of these words we were talking about, and I want you to really think about what they mean to you. Like deep down, what do they mean to you? And I said, okay. Well, it just so happens that that weekend I was coming down to get pampered by my bestie Jane, and she was going out to make breakfast or something. And I said, "Oh, that's fine. I'm going to work on my first word that Lava gave me." So the first word that I did was freedom because I said that. She said, "How do you feel now that you're not working?" And I said, "Free." And she said, "Well, what does that mean? What does freedom mean to you?" So I just started writing whatever came out, and then you came back, and I said, "Hey, do you want to hear my first word that I did?" And you said, "Sure." And I read it to you, and you said, "Wow, that's great." And I said, "You should do this with me." And you're like, "All right." So then I said, "Well, you write what yours is. What is your definition of this?" And you wrote it in a story form. I wrote it more in a definition form. Um, and we decided to alternate picking a word every day and one that meant a lot to us, not just, going through the dictionary and randomly picking words. It was, what did we need clarification on? So, so after a while, since you wrote it in story form, I remember one day I said, "Jane, who's she?" Writing it in story, and I didn't realize. I thought, well, she's not doing it the way I'm doing it. She's doing it about this she. And then you just started laughing and said, "Well, I'm a writer, so I do it in story form." And I thought, well, that's fine. And it turned out to be a great contrast, didn't it?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
we each had our own way of expressing it, and neither of them was right or wrong. They just were what was in our hearts.
Right.
So, and then you said, "Well, let's do this for a whole year." Like, okay. And it was great. Sometimes it took all day, and sometimes it came immediately. What the word would be and what I would write, and um, anyway, it just turned out to be such a transformative process. I can't
Yeah.
tell you how this process has changed my life.
Mm. I feel that too. And it's so interesting because when we first started doing it, um, I was just writing these little stories. A lot of them I was just writing while I was walking my puppy. Whatever the word came in, because we would alternate every other day, we would pick the word, and then we wouldn't read what the other person wrote before we wrote what we were going to write. And then after about, I think it was about 6 months or so, I'm like, I think this, I feel like this is a book. And then I kind of asked you, did you want to do this? And you were like, I thought you'd never ask. And what's incredible too is like I always wanted to do a yearly reader, like a daily reader or something inspirational, but it wouldn't have worked by myself. I needed this back and forth. And it just really was for me. I did not set out to heal myself. I didn't even think about that. I thought, oh, this is really good for my friend Barbara, and I'm just going to play along. But what happened through the process is I realized that I've got some pain, I've got some things that have happened. I've got some deep grief. I've got some things that happen with long friendships that were devastating. And this process allowed me to do my own deep dive, to peel through all of that and express myself. And boy, it turned out to be very healing for me, which I didn't even realize was happening until I was really in the middle of it. And I was like, wow, this is really good for me because I'm the gal that's always gonna maybe stuff my pain behind optimism. And sometimes my optimism doesn't allow me to grow because I'm so busy behind the facade of everything's great. Where's the pony in the room full of horse shit? Um, I do that so often that I have realized that I need to get to it. And this forced me to peel through a lot of my own unresolved crap. So I thank you because you were always picking these difficult words, because that's the other part of it. I would pick a word one day, it would be like happiness. And then you would pick a word, invasive. And then I would pick a word, empowerment. And then you would pick a word, cancer. And it was great because you just poked me and poked me and poked me so that I would get to the point of understanding what these words that always left these thorns inside of me, and I could extract them and then write it down and get it off of my chest instead of internalizing the pain that these simple words only have power if we lend the power to them. So it was really transformative for me. And I think that was the biggest takeaway lesson that I just had such an aha about Deep Dive 365 words. I mean, I was like, are you kidding me? So thank you, because I never ever would have done this type of book. I've got all these little fantasy novels. I've got the next room two half-ass written. Um, but this was so worthy of me taking a break from everything to be with you, to be present with you, to fall even deeper in love with my friend, to the point now that I'm like, this is just the coolest freaking thing that friends could do is to show up and be present and share a word every day. So that's our hope, is that you'll grab a girlfriend or a guy friend or whatever friend that you have and maybe do your own deep dive 365. It's really been a very, like, I keep saying transformative, but that's the word that keeps popping up. It has been transformative for both Barbara and myself. Um, I keep staring at it. Now, if you're wondering, where can I buy Deep Dive 365? Well, we are moments away. We both just got our copy yesterday. It came in the mail over the weekend, and this has got the strip across it. It's author copy only. But we waited. Mine came on Friday, and I think Barbara's arrived on Saturday. And we waited so we could FaceTime and open them at the same time. So by the time this airs, I would say we're a week or two away from where you can actually go on Amazon and just search for it. And we'll also put a link up on the website. It's deepdive365words.com. Super easy to find. Also have a Facebook page that I want to invite you to join us there, because we're going to post the words every day and let people play along. Um, okay, enough of me. So
Jane,
Barbara,
can I interject something?
please do.
Something I want to advance something that you touched upon before. Um, these words, a lot of them were words that were triggers for me that would put me into fear, like cancer. I I really had to go deep and figure out what that is and find the silver lining in it. And by doing that, I can say that word all day now, and it doesn't bother me. Although I don't claim it as my cancer
Right.
journey, but so many different things. Those words were so meaningful to me. Yeah, they're the words that are pretty heavy are my words for sure. But that process totally desensitized me to the point that I am living without any fear. Okay, now let me restate that. I have a journey of stage 4 breast cancer, and I am living without fear. I am living in the moment, and it's because of this book.
Mm,
And it's
mm.
people have seen the change in me, and my husband is like, "How can you be so positive?" And I'm like, what's the alternative? To live in the future, something that's never happened yet, or live in the past with regrets? No, I don't do that. I'm living in the moment. So,
Will you please share the story, because this is right up that alley, about when you found out about your hair?
oh,
Because I absolutely like I'm getting goosebumps right now because I just read it in our book, because we have to go through it now and make sure there's no typos and if we want to change anything. But I just read about it, so please share that.
yeah, I added it. It's not one of our 365 words because this happened after we were done, but I did put it into my about the author.
Right.
So I was starting tamoxifen, which is a rather uh, potent, should we say, without putting a negative word in there, um, chemo. So this was my first like heavy duty chemo, and the nurse practitioner was giving me a training on it over a Zoom call. So she was telling me all the side effects and all this stuff, and at the end she said, "Oh, and you will lose your hair." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I figured that." And she said, I said, "Well, how long am I going to be on this?" And she said, hopefully a very long time. In other words, I'll be on it until it's not working anymore. And we want you to be on it because then something is working, right? Otherwise, we have to trial and error another chemo. So I said, well, so what about when I go into remission? And she said, well, you'll still be on chemo of some sort, but at a lower dose. So you'll always be on some kind of chemo the rest of your life. And I'm like, okay. So you're telling me that I'm going to be bald for the rest of my life? And she goes,
Hmm.
well, just shrugged her shoulders. And I'm like, okay, bye bye. And I got off the phone and I thought, whoa, this is a bomb that just dropped on my lap here. And I need to figure this out. So I went and I laid down and I said out loud, I was said, what am I feeling right now? And the words, I don't remember, it's something like anxiety, a little fear, um, I can't remember what else, but and then I said, okay, all right, well, that's what I'm feeling right now. But that's surface. So what is underneath those feelings? And almost instantaneously, I got the word reality. And I thought, what? What? Reality? Are you kidding me, God? Are you kidding me? This is my new reality. Just suck it up and live with it. I thought, no. And then all of a sudden, I had an epiphany where I said, thought, this reality is happening to my physical body. But I believe there's two realities. And I believe that there always has been. And the other reality is what's happening to my spiritual body, my spiritual self. And I realized that spiritual body has never and will never know anything about cancer. It, there's a place within me that has never been touched. And I thought, okay, that's an easy one. I choose a second one. And that in that second, I shifted over to, hey, I get to wear wigs. I like wearing wigs. Okay, I get to wear fun hats and maybe just, even go out bald in public. Who cares? And and I just got so excited about being creative. And I immediately wanted to shave my head, but my husband's like, no, no, just wait until it's leaving you. So, but ever since then, it's like, hey, what am I going to do with my hair today? What am I going to do with my hair today? It was fun. People didn't recognize me because every time they'd see me, I'd have a different color and length of hair. But that was fine.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. But so then I stopped that medication this last May. And what happened? My hair started growing back, even though I'm on a different chemo. And my doctor just told me last week that, boy, your hair grew back. Usually the medication that you're on now, it doesn't do that. Usually people lose their hair with that. And I'm like, nope, not me.
Yeah.
And so my daughter said, I think you should make it purple. I'm like, okay, that sounds fun. I'm all for fun. And so she gave me the stuff and showed me how to do it. And I've been purple ever since.
Ah, I love it. Yeah, it's what is behind that word. Like, there was some fear packed into that, and you were stressed out, and you got this really, shocking news. And once you did a deep dive into the word, um, you came out with reality. And that's what this project has been so empowering because we have been able to strip it down and get to what the word really means to us. And there's only 365, and I know that there's just a lot more words in our language, but it was fun to be able to go back and forth and to continue to do this. And every day something new would crop up. I mean, I loved it because a lot of times people would remind me, like I remember sitting on an airplane, flying back to Detroit to go home to see the fam, and a gal had the word tenderness tattooed right here. And I'm curious about everything, and I love people, and I love to meet interesting people. And so, of course, I asked her the story about tenderness, and she told me why. And so that word tenderness is her story. I didn't even get the lady's first name, but the story in the book, the word tenderness is her story. Or like the kid that I met sitting outside on the cold pavement, and I think about these people and just to be able to write a little short story about them. I believe I met Jesus in El Salvador. I swear as sure as I'm sitting here, that it was good old Jesus in the form of a homeless guy walking on the train tracks. I felt it like I had a full body rush and he was up above me and I had a cross that Gary from our church had done all these crosses and I took a bunch and we were, feeding the homeless and I handed it to him and our fingers touched and I just felt electrified meeting this Jesus in El Salvador. So it's just it has been such an interesting study to do this. Um, Talk to me about what your oncologist said when you told her about what we were doing, because I think that's really powerful.
Oh, she's seen how I've I can do things and make a shift in my body as well as my thoughts.
Aha.
My white blood count was pretty low, and they didn't know if I'd be able to get chemo that week. And I said, okay. Well, what should my white blood count be? And I think it was four, between four and I don't know. The four was the bottom number, and mine was three or something like that. And I said, "Oh, is that all? Okay." So So I called you and I said, Jane, will you hold for me that my white blood count is normal? And she said, well, give me a number. I want a number to focus on. I said, well, at least four. So in 2 days, because she said, I'll give you a few days and then we'll take it again and see how it is. In 2 days, not doing anything else, but focusing on that number of at least four, it went from 3 to 6. And she just looked at me and she said, these results are magical. How did you do that? I said, well, that's what thoughts can do. That's what clear thinking and being in tune can do. It can change your body, it can change your thoughts, it can change your life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's amazing.
it really is. And I think too, there are, and we're not in denial. We are seeing Barbara's tumor markers go
Oh,
down, 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 like exponentially. It has been so much fun to be on this journey with you because, you're one of my first thoughts in the morning. And I've been really focused on beaming healing energy in your direction. And I really believe that it's no different than if somebody's constantly angry and they're sending you nasty thoughts, you're gonna receive that.
yeah.
Conversely, love has a way of cutting through, and we can I mean, that's what prayer is, right? That's what
Right.
good vibes and energy is all about. So let's talk about those fabulous shrinking tumor markers.
Well, yeah, they've gone down. I don't know the specific numbers, but they're down lower than they've been probably in 2 years. And um, yeah, and we're not just brushing over what's happening to my physical body because I can talk about it because I don't see it as a bad thing.
Right.
I see it as a gift. This, my goodness, I would never have written this book with you. We would, I would never be living my best life without fear and living in the now. It's so great to live in the now. It's
Well, yeah.
a blessing.
Well, to circle back to that, what you said earlier too is you said you quit your job. Explain that because you had a very storied, healthy, long career as a speech pathologist. And, but the pivot came when you got some news and you're like, what am I doing here? So let's
No, I
talk about,
yeah, I
yeah, that's
walking
huge.
back to the hospital. My appointment with the doctor was at like 8 o'clock, and then I said I'll be in after my doctor's appointment. So I got out of um, the appointment with the surgeon and my oncologist after hearing my CT results, and I was walking back to the hospital and where I worked, and I thought, huh, today's my last day. Isn't that interesting? Huh. Took this to get me out of there, but that's good. I think 30 years is enough. That's good. I'm done. And I just went through my day thinking, this is my last doing one of these tests. And this is, oh, this is my last patient. She was kind of cranky. And I thought, well, really? That's going to be my last patient? Well, I'll just send her love. But, and at the end of the day, I told my team that what was happening and they all pitched in to take my my days that I was working. Like a weekend was coming up and I was supposed to work, and I said, yeah, it's just too hard. And it just it wasn't I wasn't sad to leave. I was I was just okay. That part's
Yeah,
done. What
right.
next?
Right, new chapter. And also too, what I've noticed with you is there's been a just a tremendous shift into allowing all this good stuff to just come, you just say yes. Um, but also it's because you truly are living, and because you're not living in fear of some imaginary situation, you're just diving into what is going on right now. You're doing just remarkable fun things with your friends, with your daughter, with your husband, with your sister, with me, which I get the benefit of you coming down here in a couple weeks because you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna hop on the train. I'm gonna see you next week. And I'm like, great, come on down. Um, but isn't it interesting that sometimes truly living, like I use you as an example all the time. I'm like, we need to do the Barbara. We don't need to wait for anything. We just need to be in the moment right now. And whatever and however it looks to us, we need to embrace our life and to be fully in a state of gratitude for this remarkable experience we're having as we're in this human form, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Like a couple weeks ago, I got an email from the Breast Cancer Resource Center saying there's going to be a singer-songwriter camp this weekend for 4 days, and anybody who belongs to the Breast Cancer Resource Center can go for free. And I'm like, well, look, I don't have anything going on this weekend. I called back and I said, hey, I'm going to go, even though I don't really play any instruments and I'm afraid of, speaking in front of groups. And I sing, but just for myself. Um, and darned if I didn't write a song called No Fear and performed it that weekend. And
Yeah.
it was just like, wow, I like living in the moment. I like saying yes. Look at all
Yeah.
the fun things that happen.
Look at you. You little author now. You're a songwriter. You're going to be in something coming up that we can't mention in the beginning of the year. Some really great experiences because you did a deep dive into discovery on what some of these words mean. And you kind of you looked them right square on and said, you don't have power over me. The only thing that has power over me is me. And it's really how we decide and what we're going to give certain things, even individuals in our life. It could be a word, it could be a job, whatever it is. It's like, what are we doing? Are we truly living in this moment in time? And that's what
Right.
is just so key. Would you?
Otherwise, we're focusing on dying. Who wants to
Yeah,
focus on dying?
no, no, I don't. Not at
I
all.
I remember one of your words, which really hit me, was awe. What a
Mm,
beautiful word. And so I started looking at things with awe, and that really shifted me. Like,
yeah.
wow, look at that hummingbird. Oh, look at that cloud. I was just in awe of everything I was seeing. That was powerful. Still
I
is.
yeah. Awe is a great word. And I have to say, I'm pretty sure that I experience it every single day.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten to that place where I do this walking meditation with my dog. And um, Ludovico will come with me. I listen to my Ludovico Iannotti. And I'm so gone in this state of just being. And it's the clouds and it's the shadows. And it's like, I don't know what, there's all kinds of cool things. Just watching the leaves this time of year fall to the ground just makes me so happy. I'm like, it's so cool to just be in that space of appreciation of how amazing nature is. It's like, are you kidding me? Um, okay, so deep dive 365 words. Um, I'm going to ask you if you don't mind. I know it's not your favorite thing, but I know you've gotten very good at it because as Barbara and I were going back and forth, and then we started writing this, and then we worked with Carla from Clarity Designs. We literally went through this book and read our words to one another so that we could help each other because she would say, that's a little bit confusing. Maybe take that part out. Or I would say, you know what? That's a little redundant, what you're saying. And we would work with each other. We did Zoom all the time and we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And she confessed to me that she's not always comfortable or hadn't been comfortable reading out loud. But I'll tell you what, she got darn good at it. So I'm going to ask you to pick one of your words and share it with us.
Okay, I'm not sure whose word. Oh, I'm first in the lineup, so it must have been my word. Time.
Oh,
It just struck me today when I read it.
okay.
Okay. Time is not tangible. It doesn't fly, creep, or pressure you. It is not found in the next room, as source has no measurements. It is helpful for our human experience, but not if we are driven by it. It is, however, something that should be shared with loved ones and nature, as well as stillness with source. It is not your friend or foe. We obsess about not having enough, but then forget to cherish the now. The only time we have is this moment.
Ooh, who wrote that? That's really cool too, because so many times I would be in awe of what you were writing. And then, we were reading them back and you would go, did I write that? I mean, you literally had what I would refer to as a writer's download,
Yeah.
which I did experience a lot with the next room. Um, and with this, some of them, now, I'm so critical and so hard on myself. I'm reading some of mine back and I'm like, I could have done better. But I'm like, you know what? I have to bless it and just let it go. That one was beautiful. Do you have another one for me?
Okay, this is one of my favorites
Ooh, let me have it.
because this was really, really a key word that came to me um, well, I say at the bottom, this is the word that bubbled up as I was trying to figure out how I felt about an invasive PET scan. It
Ooh.
helped me stay out of fear and doubt. It's been a great source of comfort for me. It's just a detour. So here the word detour. When the usual path appears to be unavailable, an alternate path opens. Choosing the new path may seem frustrating at first, but it soon becomes a well traveled and trusted way. When there is no judgment about the new path, you are free to travel without concern. The detour may even be a more comfortable or scenic route. All paths lead to love, so enjoy the ride. So when I had this PET scan that I thought she was going to say, "Oh, it's all gone," and but in fact, it was raging, and I was just so down, and I thought, "Wait, what am I feeling?" And then the word, as it does, still does, a word will pop up, and the word was detour, and I thought, "Oh, this is just a detour." Okay, all this medical jumbo is just a detour, but I don't have to put all this judgment on it. It doesn't have to be good news or bad news. It's just news. It's just a detour. You can handle a detour. You'll get there. May take a little longer, but enjoy the ride.
Yeah, you helped me a lot too, because as I've been going through this journey with you, because we share everything as best friends do, and we're so blessed to have gotten even closer. I thought, because Barbara and I were roommates. I mean, we were roommates when we were kids in our 20s and just laughed so much. Like, I think, like, that's one of my favorite things about you is you make me laugh because you're fun and you're silly and you're goofy and you change language around. You make your own words. You gazelle leap across the living room and just enjoy. You taught me a lot. You taught me a lot about lightening up and just having a good time. But since I've been on this journey with you, and then we would be writing and you would tell me these different things that were going on that were, heavy, some of them. And your attitude, I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is just teaching me how to view things differently and how to accept. Acceptance is key. Tolerance, I tolerate you, but acceptance is truly embracing whatever this life experience is and accepting the situation, the person, the place, whatever it is, exactly the way it is being presented. And so you've really helped me grow like so much. Like I'm like, all right, this has been very life-changing for me as well, which is really cool. Like I said before, I did not expect it. I thought, we're just doing a little writing project. And now I'm like, ooh, that one hurt. That one stung. I had to really get there. I told you you need to lay down.
Yeah, I remember you saying victim and invasive
Oh,
are two of the worst words for you.
right. It
You're
was
like,
tough.
what are you doing?
Yeah, it was tough, but you know what? You made me think. You made me also peel back so that I could face these words and understand because I've had a lot of people that have been touched by a lot of pain. I mean, all of us. Nobody gets through this journey alive, come on. We all know there's an end game. We just don't know the how and the where and the why and when it's going to happen. So we need to be prepared by living in our moment. Um, this has just been so much fun for me. The show's better than I thought it was going to be. Um, and we can do this again and again. So I want to encourage people, if you want to find out more, we've got our website is deepdive365words.com. The Facebook page is Deep Dive 365 Words. The other cool thing about this book is we love working with Carla. She is amazing. Clarity Designs, got to give her a shout out. But we also sent her a bunch of pictures of us, and she said, "Oh, I can include those if they're black and white." So it's this yummy book with Barbara and Jane and all these fun pictures of us at different phases in our life. Um, and it's just beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
It's a
Um,
little love fest.
it is a love fest, but it's also something that, really may help you gain the clarity and get to those words that are maybe difficult for you. And we will have a companion journal too, which will be really nice. I mean, you can use any old journal. I have a ton of them. But if you want, there will actually be a Deep Dive 365 companion journal. And we're recommending that you, like, if you look up and you say, okay, I really need to focus on integrity, you could cover our definitions or our story on integrity, write your own, and then go and read what we wrote. Because it could be a lot of fun for you that way. Or get yourself a Deep Dive 365 partner and do it with them. Because it is a very introspective, year-long deep dive journey into what words mean and have the power. And then you can also strip away the power that some of the spooky words have. So, is there anything that you want to share in closing?
Well, I just think it'd be a good book for a book club because you could take turns picking a word, everybody write their definition, and then read. You don't have to read ours, but then you could read e- each other's, and a lot of great conversation could come from that.
Right.
And
And then, yeah.
there's one of the at least one word that we took completely different. You had one meaning for it, and I had a totally different one. And it's just it's so interesting to see different perspectives. So
Mhm.
yeah, I really do think that sharing this is a really good thing. Um, it makes you more committed to the task also when you share it.
That's a really great way to put it. You know, I've been sending it out, and you have too, to different people. We're looking for um, quotes and whatever. And I just want to read this one to you because this woman I have such mad respect for. She has mainstream Reiki. She's like the queen of breaking it down and helping people and healing. And she has a great podcast too. So I sent it to Andrea Kennedy, and I just said, "Hey, if you get a minute, could you read this?" And she said, "Oh yeah, as soon as I'm done with this other book, I'll dive in." And when I got this back from her, I thought, "Wow, she read our book from the bios all the way to the index, cover to cover, because she, like my husband Tom said, he goes, she not only got it, she got it in a half." Um, so isn't that great?
Yeah.
So her quote went from being a quote to it's now going to be the forward because it is so powerful. And I am so grateful to her for what she said. So I'm going to read this. She said, "The innovative format of Deep Dive 365 words transforms what could have been a simple collection of definitions into an interactive journey of self discovery by presenting each word through both Barbara's definitional approach and Jane's storytelling style. Readers are provided a pair of perspectives to spark deeper insight through serious self reflection. The daily practice format is particularly clever for two reasons." She said that instead of overwhelming readers with exercises, it creates a manageable year-long rhythm of contemplation and evolution. In addition, readers can actually feel that they are part of a shared experience, as Barbara and Jane share deeply on each page like trusted friends. This is not a simple book, but a journey of personal discovery waiting to be taken by those who are ready. Are you kidding me, Andrea?
Mic drop.
Wow. I'm just so grateful. So please go find her. She's got Beyond the Reiki Gateway podcast. She is amazing. And I know that she has a forthcoming book in her because her fan base is like, please write a book. She's such a brilliant podcaster and Reiki master. So we're so, so, so grateful to her, to Lava, to your oncologist, to all the other people like Camille, Dan, that gave us a quote too, and we're collecting others as we speak. So thank you to everyone that has been part of Deep Dive 365 Words, especially your fab husband, Fabumore, Saulius, and my husband, Tom, who kind of just stood back behind us, supporting us, believing in us, and kind of helping us too by reading and just giving us gentle suggestions of support and love as we did our own little deep dive here. So huge, huge props to those guys. Any final thoughts, my friend?
I love being your bookend.
You are my bookend. You're adorable. I am just so happy to have done this with you. So here it is, deep dive, 365 words. It is gorgeous. Hold it up, Barbara. There you go. Perfect. It
And
is,
they really do have heads. It's
yeah,
right behind the band.
yeah. It just, this is not for resale. This is great though, when you finally get this and it's across our face in the back, but our bios are in there. Barbara's entire story about why and how this came to be from her life coach, Lava. Man, big props to that lady. I mean, she got this whole party started. I mean, seriously. She
And she didn't even realize it.
No, I know. Well, that's what's so great about it. It's like she's like, "Hey, you need to figure out what these words mean." And you're like, "La la la." Little, you get your little thing tucked under your arm as you're sitting out on my veranda of peace, love, and understanding. And it just how cool. How cool that 2 years. No wonder why I didn't get
All
any
over.
I know. It's just
Like to try
nuts.
that.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for indulging us because I know this isn't a typical show, but what is typical anymore? I'm thinking about morphing everything anyway into more of a living show. Um, I know I focus a lot on the end game, but I think I'm doing a little bit of a pivot with the next room because it's really important that we are steeped in our now. And that is this moment right here, right now. So thank you for joining us. Thank you to Karen. I am well, as you can see, um, but I just needed to take a little break, and it really benefited me to put down the microphone because sometimes you just wonder what you're doing and if it makes a difference. And I guess it does to you, Karen. So thank you. I really do appreciate you reaching out. That was very sweet and very thoughtful of you. So there you go. I'm doing it for one person. This whole show's
Oh,
for
you're
you.
doing it for me too.
Yeah,
I love your
true that.
podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's all good. I think I'll come back. I've got a lot of people lined up to come on the show and talk to me. And actually, a good friend of yours is going to be coming on soon too. So thanks for tuning in. It is Deep Dive 365 Words. We'll let you know when it comes out. I would imagine you'll be able to get it through Amazon in the next couple weeks. Okay, this is a little teaser because it is that awesome. And we really want you to be part of a deep dive journey. Thank you, Barbara. Do
You.
not hang up when I stop recording because we need to have a fashion show and chat. We have to chat for a little longer because Barbara's coming down in a few weeks and she always brings these amazing clothes for me that she gets donated from a friend. So I get to see what she has for me because I do love a good hand me up. So thank you so much for tuning in. Uh, Peace and love. And if you can be anything on the planet, you know what I'm going to say. Please, 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 please be kind. Thanks so much for tuning into the next room. Until next time.